bring in Oliver Sloup from Blue Line Futures. What do you got for us, Oliver? Anything stick out of you in those livestock prices?
Well, obviously, a little bit of weakness here today, which isn't all that surprising with the run that we had yesterday in the live cattle market, April specifically. We filled that gap up near 142, failed to get any momentum out above there, so now you're seeing some sellers step back in to the market, which could potentially take us towards the lower end of the recent range, which is 140, 139, which is also where the 100-day moving average comes in, which we tested and held earlier in the week. For me, a lot of my attention is going to be focused on these outside markets. We've seen the volatility expand quite a bit there, and a lot of that volatility coming in on the sell side. And if that continues to be the case here as we go into the weekend, where there's going to be a lot of headline risk, I wouldn't be surprised to see live cattle continue to trade a little bit lower. But ultimately, we'll be using that as a buying opportunity. There's a bullish seasonal that is right around the corner for June live cattle. It starts January 29th, goes to February 19th. That's been profitable for 13 out of the last 15 years. So I welcome some weakness here into the weekend and would be using it as a buying opportunity in the first half of next week.
Yeah, going back to what you said about the headlines and the risk and those types of things. Number one, I think I've said this before, and you probably heard me, but I think this is the year that we're going to really have to embrace options to help us hedge these things, because we're up at some of these heady heights. Look, 575 new crop corn this morning. That's going to be that's fantastic going into the spring. But I also think that traders, investors have to get used to the fact that, you saw the wheat run up on this the Ukraine-Russia issue. But as long as there's not any new bullish news, you start to see it kind of fade on you, right? So the news hasn't changed per se, but the market's gone back lower because we haven't had any new news. That's a pretty good lesson learned. I really appreciate you being on. That's Oliver Sloup from Blue Line Futures in Chicago. Thanks for being on the show.